I hope this is all in focus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Dead air.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Dead Air Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm going to grab a McDonald's on the way home.
And that is Rob. This week, Rob has got a review for us of, what was the film, Rob?
Epic.
Epic. And I'm going to talk about the Xbox One.
Okay.
We've also got an interview with James Whale.
We have.
And we're going to have a little bit of a rant about Talk.
Dead Air Podcast, all the latest news and a little bit of fun on the Dead Air Podcast with Nick and Rob, yeah.
The big technology story this week is that Microsoft have unveiled their new console. Now, there were a lot of talk in the run-up to the unveiling about what it was going to be called. The previous console was called Xbox 360. So can you guess what a lot of people predicted the new one would be called?
362.
No, although that's a valid prediction. Think more in terms of, 360. What would you call something that's a follow-up to that? Maybe if you think, like 180, and then 180 becomes 360, what would be the next logical step?
Naught.
No, I was thinking more like 720.
Because you've gone full circle. So you'll be back at naught.
Right, yeah. A lot of people said that it was going to be called the Xbox 720, because that is what people thought would be...
Can you have 720 degrees?
Yes, of course you can. In fact, a 720 is a skateboarding term, isn't it? It's when someone goes round so many times. Anyway, they didn't call it that.
What did they call it?
The Xbox One. And the big story about it, they will not let you now buy a game and then give it to somebody else after you've played it.
Well, that's fine.
Why? It's not fair.
Why is it not fair?
Because the software houses are forcing people to buy the games, whereas in the past you could just buy a game, play it for a bit, and then give it to your friend.
Yeah, but then the software houses don't benefit from the sale because the friend has got it for free.
So what?
Well,
What's
that
wrong with
friend should go and buy it.
Why?
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
10 people.
Yep.
You're one of the 10.
Okay.
You're a software developer. You write some games.
Got it.
You make a game. You sell it to one of the other 10 people.
Okay. 50 quid.
50 quid.
Okay. I'm happy. I've got
Right.
50 quid for my work.
You got 50 quid. Now that person then sells that game to his friend.
No, I don't want him to do that.
Why?
Well, I want the friend to buy the game off me. Because now I want the money. You see, when I'm developing the game, I want all the money. When a big company develops it, I don't want them to get all the money. Isn't that weird? But I can see what you're saying. What you mean is, it's not fair on the software company who've made the game.
Yep.
Because if 1,000 people buy that game, and then each of them lend it or give it to 10 people, that's 10,000 people that have had the experience without actually paying.
Yeah, I mean, the disc usually is just a delivery method to get it into your house and into your games console.
There is another thing here as well, which no one's talking about, which probably won't happen, but it might, which is that the cost of the games might come down a bit.
Because more and more people are having to buy the game.
Yeah, because more copies are getting sold, they might make them cheaper because they don't have to charge as much for each copy.
But it's very unlikely.
That is unlikely, yeah, but it could happen. You never know. But apart from that, we don't really know much about it. It's
We know its name,
we know its name, the Xbox One,
and we know you have to buy games for it.
but we'll keep you posted on that as more and more stories come out.
You're listening to the Dead Air Podcast with Nick and Rob. La-da-da-da-da.
Now, I want to talk about Talk. I've got a huge rant in my head about Talk, but I'll keep it brief because we've got the James Whale interview this week. I called Talk technical support the other day on behalf of a customer.
Right.
And after an hour on the phone, I was put through to someone who did a check on the line, and that person told me, there is a fault, we need to send an engineer out to fix it, and it's going to cost you £50.
Sorry? It's going to cost you £50?
Yeah.
And it's their fault?
Their fault, and they wanted £50 to fix it.
Wow.
Now, that is bad, but it's not just that. It's the fact that it took me an hour to get this information. In the end, I just said, leave it, and I've told the customer to get their internet from someone else.
Right.
Because when I first rang Talk, they tried to sell me something. I rang them and said, the
So
internet...
you phoned to complain?
I wasn't complaining. I phoned up, I said, hey, how's it going? We've got an internet here that's not working. I've changed the router. Can you check the line, make sure there's no problems? And he goes, yeah, okay. while I've got you on the phone, do you know that we do an offer now? I see you've got 2 lines. You can have broadband on both. And I said, why do I want broadband on both?
Yeah, why would you want broadband
And he
on
said,
both?
do you know what he said? Because if one stops working, you'll have the other one as a backup.
Wow.
I told him, look, you're not even giving us a reliable broadband on 1 line, so I'm not gonna order it off you for 2 lines, am I? If you were going to do that, you'd get the broadband from 2 different people.
Yeah.
TalkTalk, I am just totally against them, and I'm telling everyone now. Everyone who I know who's got TalkTalk, I'm trying to get them to get off them because I don't like TalkTalk. Well, last week we interviewed Andy Mack,
Yep.
and we've got several people lined up for interviews over the next several weeks.
We have.
And we were supposed to be interviewing James Whale in a week or 2, wasn't it?
I think so.
Is it next week or the week after we were supposed to interview him?
Yep.
But due to a variety of reasons, we ended up interviewing him today. It was all very sudden.
A window became available.
Exactly. And he's very busy. So obviously pinning him down and getting him to talk was quite tricky. But when Rob had the chance, we just jumped on it. So we gave him a ring, and it was quite fun because we had to set everything up to actually record the phone call, which we hadn't done before.
Nope.
And we were just sort of running around like idiots trying to figure out how to...
Well, we only had like 15 minutes to get everything set
and we
up.
had to figure out a way of getting a telephone connected to a computer, which is actually not as easy as you would think.
You are listening to the Dead Air Podcast.
Hello,
Hello, is that James?
speaking.
Hi, it's Rob from the Dead Air podcast.
Oh, hi, Rob. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm here as well. How are you?
Hello, Nick.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time out to speak to us.
It's all right.
And
No
I have to say, Rob is completely going potty here because he's such a big fan of yours, and he's like a little kid. I've never seen him like this before.
Now, listen, James, I've been listening to you for a good portion of my life. Back in the day when I was still in school, I remember getting a little bedside alarm clock radio, and in Anglesey, North Wales, I used to be able to pick up Red Rose radio, and I remember the first time I heard you, you were having I wouldn't say argument, because it was one way. You were speaking to this lady who was... what can we say?
You can't say basically.
No, I can't say basically. Benefit scrounger, and you basically put her in her place. I said basically again. See, that's I'm nervous.
That's the James Whale effect.
Listen, calm down, guys. I can't reach you from here. Go on.
So from that moment on, I was hooked. Unfortunately, then you left Red Rose Radio, and you moved to Radio Air. Is that right? Or you stayed on Radio Air?
I was already on Radio Air in my program at that time. How old were you?
Ooh, I would have been 13.
Oh, okay. So you're nearly the same age as me.
That's right.
So I had a program in those days that was syndicated to a number of radio stations, and I would have been doing it from Leeds. Sometimes I did it from Red Rose, but most of the time I did it from Leeds, and it was syndicated, I think, to a couple of radio stations in the north of England.
So it was more than just Red Rose. There was a few other stations as well.
Yeah.
Right, so unfortunately you left... Well, you didn't leave Red Rose. Red Rose obviously gave up their contract with Radio Air or yourself or whatever.
No, I left. I went to do funnily enough, I went to do a television show for HTV Wales, being half Welsh, you understand.
Of course.
A lot of my family come from Prestatyn and Rhyl. I actually went to do this show on HTV Wales, and I couldn't carry on doing the radio program as well, so that's what happened.
So then how did the James Whale radio show, which is actually a TV show, come about then?
Well, I reached the grand old age of about 33, and I felt that having spent most of my working life on the radio since I was about 20, I should branch out into television. And a very young Carol Vorderman told me I should go and see her agent in London, which is what I did. And I did a series for Channel 4, which was a sort of pseudo-educational series, a sort of Channel 4 version of the Open University. And I was just the front man for it. But and I was still doing my radio shows and still living in Yorkshire at the time. And then I got a phone call one day from a guy who said, James Whale? And I said, yes. And he said, my name's Ian Bolt. I said, yeah. He said, I want to put your radio show on the TV. To which I told him to go and do one and put the phone down. and because I thought it was one of my mates winding me up.
Ah.
And so I then rang my agent at the time and said, have you ever heard of a chap called Ian Bolt? And she said, oh, yes, he's a really big producer at Yorkshire Television. He does 3, 2, 1 and Through the Keyhole and all sorts of programs he does for YTV. I said, oh, right, well, I might have made a boo-boo. I said, I think I just told him to go and get stuffed. So she organised a meeting and we got together, and it transpired that he was a big fan of the radio programme. And he actually did put the radio show on TV, hence the name, the James Whale Radio Show.
It was on Granada, but it wasn't actually on HTV. So, fortunately, living in Anglesey, we had clear waters, so I was able to watch that. A bit grainy, but I was still able to watch it. And I used to have to sneak and turn my telly on when the parents weren't looking. And,
well, I think, you must have been watching it then from the very early age, because for 3 months it was on Yorkshire TV and Granada Television.
That's right.
And then it went network because we had such a huge audience. In fact, I think on 2 regions we had a bigger audience than the rest of the network put together. So then we started broadcasting every Friday night. I think we went for 4 or 5 years doing it to the whole of the network.
Now, then there was a big gap in my history of the listening to James Whale until I discovered you on Talk Sport.
Well, what's your excuse for that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I followed you around Britain because I only applied to Leeds University so I could get near radio air.
Bless you.
And you'd left by then, and I still went to university
In Leeds.
in Leeds, Leeds Metropolitan University.
Yeah.
Great part of my life, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember much.
Listen, although I am a Londoner who is half Welsh on my mother's side, and my mother always said that means you're Welsh. I moved to Yorkshire from London I moved to the northeast from London for 3 months and stayed for about 25 years in the north. Everybody thinks I come from Yorkshire. I actually don't come from Yorkshire, although as far as some of my children are concerned who still live there, they are Yorkshiremen. But, I couldn't get a job in radio when I was in my early 20s, so I sort of looked all over the country, a bit like looking for a university, I suppose.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't leave.
No, it's okay. I've forgiven you. It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Now,
then you've gone back to North Wales, haven't you?
My parents live here, so I moved back.
Now, listen, do me a favour, just while I take over the interview for a few moments.
Sure.
So, do we have any time restriction on this or not?
There is no time. We have shut shop for you.
Okay, right. Now, Mrs. W, my wife, of some many years standing, my first wife, in fact, I met my wife through an old school friend of mine, who I haven't seen for about 45 years. His name is David Stephenson, and he was studying hairdressing at the London College of Fashion, and I was at a disco there one night to see the Chicken Shack. You won't even have heard of these people, but back in the 60s they were quite a big band, which is where I met Mrs. W. Now, the reason I tell you that, and you wonder, why is he telling me this rubbish? The reason I tell you that is I haven't seen this David Stephenson since I was at school. But I am led to believe from somebody that I met who I was also at school with some considerable time ago, and it sticks in my mind. They said, David, who at the time was like, he was the babe magnet, he was the guy who played in the band in school, he was what everybody thought was going to be the big star. Apparently, he runs a nursery, I can't remember whether it's on Anglesey or Holyhead.
What kind of nursery? A nursery for children or for plants?
No, nursery for herbs, I think.
Ooh.
So I'm leaving that with you and any of your listeners who may know this guy.
Okay. Stevenson was his surname, was it?
Yeah.
My brother might actually know him.
Why?
He used to go to school with a Stephenson who owned a nursery in Anglesey in a place called Garewin or Pentraberu.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the nursery, but I'll ask my brother when I see him. He might know of him. But he hasn't seen
Holland
him
Arms, isn't it?
It wasn't Holland, that's the actual garden centre, but there's a nursery there.
Okay.
All right.
And I shall ask him.
Within a few phone calls, we can probably find where this guy is.
All right.
Because we know everyone.
I thought I'd throw that in. Here's another thing relative to where you are. I did a filming once for my TV show. We used to do a section in the TV show called Whaley Goes to Town. We went
Whaley Goes
out
to Town, I remember it well.
Yeah, that was the most expensive part of the whole program. And we came, I think, we came, I think it was to Holyhead.
Yeah.
And there was a cinema which was run by volunteers, and they made horror movies.
Ooh.
And they made some of the most appalling and gruesome horror movies, just as a hobby, if you like.
This is not the I Married a Vampire Motorcycle or something like that.
That's it, yes, that's it, yes. Yeah,
see, I remember. Is that the one with the...
Talking Turd.
Talking Turd. I was thinking, can we say that on the podcast? But I'll let it
say
slide.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I remember that. I also remember spending a very wet camping holiday on Holyhead when I was a kid.
Nothing much has changed.
No. I remember, got up in the morning and hit the top of the tent, and it all came in water. It was horrible.
Ooh. We have had...
Not Holyhead, the tent.
We have had 2 nice days this year, though.
There's one today.
Have you?
Yeah, so we're doing quite well.
And so why do you two, after university education, stay in North Wales?
Well, that's a long story.
Well, I've travelled all over the world, and I've ended up coming back to North Wales because I just consider it my home. Really, it's beautiful
But
place.
you sound about 14 years old.
Well, thanks very much. I'm almost 40. I'm 38.
No.
Yeah, I'm 38, and I've lived
That's
in.
not almost 40, but okay, go on.
Well, it's near enough, isn't it? So I've lived in South America.
Yeah.
I've travelled around a bit and been living in different places. And just when you come back to North Wales and you take that train ride along North Wales coast and you see the Snowdonia Mountains and the North Sea there, it just gets me every time.
Yeah, well, and do you speak Welsh or not?
Yeah, I speak Welsh fluently and speak Spanish as well.
Yeah.
And
I hate you already. I'm beginning to really dislike you intensely, but go on.
I'm like that, I'm the same as you.
oh well,
You
know.
dislike him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just
I'm
put
not
up with him.
surprised.
But
Anybody who can speak a couple of languages is instantly dislikable.
Well, I've only been to Leeds and back, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Can you speak Leeds?
I can speak Leeds. No,
Good.
not really. I
Good.
can't. No, but I'm originally from Sussex, down near your way. Cause you're
Yeah.
from
Well,
Kent.
where in Sussex?
East Grinstead originally, and then Forest Row, which is just outside.
Okay. You know how spooky it is when you talk to somebody and they've always got a story about somewhere that you mention. It's annoying.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just going to tell you that I started my life at 16 as an actor. Well, that's what I thought I was going to be.
Right.
And I went to East Grinstead and stayed there for 6 weeks. I'd had enough after that. At what was then called the Adelaine Genet Theatre
Right.
in East Grinstead, where I was the stage manager.
Ooh.
do you know that?
So I
theatre,
thought I'd
Rob?
throw that in. Nice pub in Forest.
Well, I was quite young then when I was in East Grinstead. Moved to
Yeah,
Forest
so
Row.
was I. 16.
Wow. 16.
Yeah.
Stage manager.
Yeah, I know.
Where did we go
Well,
wrong?
Well, stage manager is only the bloke who sort of runs around after everybody, and if there's a part left in the play, you do that as well as paint the scenery. It sounds grand, it isn't.
Now, you're a keen archer.
Toxophilist,
Toxophilus.
that's the posh word for archer, toxophilist. I am a very keen archer.
And I'm
yeah.
a keen archer.
Well,
Yeah,
you have a
you
bow.
are too.
I am too, yeah. I have a bow. It's actually downstairs.
Is it?
Yes, it's, I
have.
threaten Nick with it every now and again.
Yeah, so what sort of bow is it?
It's just a recurve takedown bow. I've had it
takedown
since
bow.
I was since I was about 16, and then I stopped archery.
Well, you're not an archer then, are you?
Well, I'm an archer at heart.
Are you?
A few years ago, I went to one of those theme parks, and they had an archery thing that you can do. And my daughter had a go, and then I thought, I'll have a go, and I got a bullseye first go. So, and everyone said, you've done this before, and I said, yeah, I've done this before. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, then we need to have a shoot-off sometime.
Well, this
don't
is
we?
it, you see. I'm thinking, we should come down on a little holiday, visit my old haunts, and take a trip over to Kent and hook something up. But I wouldn't know where to go to do archery in Kent, obviously.
Well, I tend to do my archery all over the place, wherever there are, but I only do field archery now.
Right.
Although, of course, in my youth, I was the under-16 Surrey junior champion as a target archer. But I do field archery. You'll have to look it up and find out. But for a charity that I run, you probably heard of.
Yeah, that the James Whale Kidney Charity.
Fund for Kidney Cancer,
Yep.
I do a charity shoot in South Wales every year, where we shoot round a golf course.
At golfers?
No, I mustn't say that. No, the golfers are asked to take a rest whilst the archers, who donate money to the charity, come, and we shoot closest to the flag wins the point, so we obviously are not going to get the arrows in the hole.
Is that cloud shooting, is it, or just...
Say again?
Cloud shooting or just shooting?
Well, it's what they would call a roving clout. Yeah.
Right.
So that rather than clout shooting, which is just one flag about 200 yards away, this is round the whole of the 18 holes of golf course.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Make a day of
Yeah,
it.
it's lots of fun. Good fun.
I don't trust myself doing that sort of thing. I'd probably shoot it straight
Oh,
up.
I'm sure you'd be fine. You probably need a new bow by now.
I do. I think it's too small for me.
Yeah.
I've obviously grown a bit.
Yeah, I think you should invest in some... there's a really good company called Wales Archery. Look them up on the internet.
Wales? Is it anything to do with you?
No, it's Welsh Archery Centre.
Fair enough.
WALES, WalesArchery.com.
Brilliant. Well, that's a good advert there.
Selection of modern equipment and traditional equipment.
We've never had an advert on before.
Have you not?
Well, not really.
How do you make a living out of this?
We do it for fun.
I see, right.
We make a living fixing computers and looking after people's technology things, and this is a technology podcast, really. So
I'm convinced that doing a radio show online like this is probably the way to go.
You are paving the way for the future for everyone else, I think.
I seem to have done that throughout my entire life, and then
I
other
think
people
so.
come along and make lots of money.
Didn't
Look at
you
Chris Evans.
do the first ever...
you didn't really hear that, Rob.
I didn't, sorry.
He said, look at Chris Evans.
Ah.
Go on.
Didn't you do the first ever real crossover between BBC and ITV once?
I did, yeah. I think that was for Children in Need.
Yes,
think
I saw that, yeah.
I was amazed. I thought if anyone could pull it off, it'd be James.
Yeah, well, that was down to the legendary Ian Bolt, who sadly died a couple of years ago, who actually got me on the television to do it, yeah.
You've also worked on Bid Up TV. How well did you do?
I did very well, but I tell you, it's the hardest work I've ever done. And a friend of mine at the time was a program director of Bid TV, and he said, "Would you fancy coming along and doing a couple of shows?" And I wasn't doing very much then, and I said, "Yeah, okay, why not?" So
when's your new show going to be launching?
Well, we've done Wales Weekly, which you very kindly put out, which is just me doing a bit of a blog on a video.
Yeah, because we noticed you didn't have a website as such, so we thought, well, the obvious thing. And Eurovision was on, and I was bored, and I thought,
well, I have got a website. I think jamesweld.co.uk.
Yeah.
I need to sort that out, which I'm going to do because I'm very lazy and very untechnical. But I'm going to talk to some big podcasting companies about doing a weekly blog, if you like, that then goes out on Twitter.
Yeah.
But the TV one, we just did it as a try to see if there was any response. There was a load of response, and various people put it out and retweeted it and whatever, And so now we decided we could perhaps update a version of a TV show. And we're out there now looking for finance and backing, etc., etc.
You said just now that you're not technologically minded or something like that. So when you work in this industry, you must have to have some sort of grip on some aspects of the technology of how things work. I mean, how do you not have any involvement with that side of it? Or you just have people doing things for you? How does it work?
Well, that would be nice. Mrs. W is quite technically. What do you mean? Sitting in a radio studio doing a radio show it's like learning to type, isn't it? Once you know what you're doing, and you go into a radio studio, and there are loads and loads of buttons and knobs, and not many people allow you to go out sitting on your own anymore. So you've always got either an engineer or a producer around you. It's not really difficult.
What about phones and computers and laptops and iPads? Have you got into all that, or have you stayed quite traditional?
I can use a laptop, and I'm actually quite good at texting on the phone, believe it or not. Once somebody shows me what to do, it's fine. I thought I could stick a microphone into my laptop and do a radio show, but it doesn't seem to be quite that easy.
No, we found the same problem. We've got loads of equipment all over the place that we've trial and error.
When we started, we just had a laptop, and we were just recording directly with the microphone on the laptop. We've now, on 56 programmes later, we've got a studio set up with mics and a mixing desk and everything. We've just gradually built it over the time that we've been doing it. You know?
Yeah. Well, you see, I don't have the interest to do that. I'm a broadcaster rather than an engineer.
Yeah, we're more interested in the way things work and, you know, how to make things.
Yeah. So I'm more interested in sitting and deciding what I'm going to ask people and how I'm going to talk to them and who'd make an interesting or funny interview. You know, if I was doing the TV show this week, I'd probably have had to have a load of people in dressed as J-Lo to see whether or not that catsuit she wore. And then, you know, obviously then we do a serious bit as well, which is what we always used to do in the programme. But I would be more interested in putting that together and hoping that clever people like you made sure that we had all the bases covered with all the new technology and everybody could access the programme in any way they wanted.
We'll help out where we can.
Well, you're now my North Wales and North West of England representative.
That's it. It's official. No
Yeah,
problem.
you've heard it here first.
You're quite renowned for speaking your mind and not really giving a monkey's...
No, I listen, I'm quite prepared to say anything, but I try and count... You know, there are people, and I shouldn't say this, I'm sure he's a perfectly nice bloke, but people say, well, you and that, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Hang on. There was one guy called Caesar the Geezer, another guy called John Gaunt, and there's somebody else. And everybody used to say, oh, yeah, James is like... And I'm not. I don't think... I don't set out to be offensive. I don't think I am offensive. But I will tell you what I think. And if I am doing an interview, and if I ask you a question and you sort of try to waffle your way out of it and say, well, it's like this. Let me tell you a story, a bit like I've been doing to you. Then I am likely to say, look, okay, well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, answer the question I asked you. Then you hear dead air. And then I say, look, it's very simple. I'd like to know what led you to believe that this is why we have a problem with whatever it is. And then the politician or the spokesperson or the think tank person will probably say, well, I think you're being a little unfair. And I'll say, no, I'm not being unfair. I just want you to answer the question. And then people say, he's a bit rude. Well, how am I rude?
Have you got any experiences of people who've just been particularly difficult to interview?
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, I've had people walk out on me.
I've seen you walk out.
No, well, I did. There was quite a famous bit on my TV show where I walked off. But I think in my book I wrote. I mean, that was all.
Hey, where's our book?
Yeah, where's our book?
We've been waiting for our book.
Well, ask Mrs. W. She's in charge of that.
Right.
She'll send one to you.
Okay.
You could go and download the audio book, couldn't you?
Well, I can't read. This week I've got a task to read the Mr. Man
Yes,
book.
he can read. Because he's a child at heart. That's why.
Ah, right, okay, fine.
I just not grown up from the 80s.
You should have seen the way that he reacted after we did that test phone call at the beginning. He was just almost jumping up and down with excitement.
Which is quite hard because it's quite a low roof in here.
He said, "Oh, I can't believe we've just spoken to James Whale." He was really, really pumped up.
Really, I'm not. This is like the adulation you get if you're in a boy band, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's like this is what you'd expect if you were the king of rock and roll.
I know you live in Kent now, so just keep looking out your window.
Are you in that white van at the end of the road?
Oh dear, you've been rumbled, Rob. Let's get out of here quick.
It's not me. It's
Right,
just a
okay,
camera.
come on. Do some more questions. Interview me a bit.
Tell us about the charity. I want to know why you're involved with it. There are so many charities. Why did you get involved with that one?
Oh, right, okay. Well, there are so many charities to get involved with, and listen. I always thought that cliche of it's for charity, mate. I'm filling in for Tony Blackburn on one of his radio shows.
You don't like to talk about it.
I don't. Well, I do like. I'm quite happy to talk about it. But the reason that the James Well Fund.
I was talking about the Nicey and Smashy sketch where they always say, "I don't like to talk about it."
Yeah, exactly. But I will. It's because I had kidney cancer 13 years ago now, and that's why we started the charity. That's not why. It's because people kept going on at me and saying, "Will you start a charity?" There isn't a charity. There is a charity. There was a charity for kidney cancer, which we're about to take over. But that's why. I mean, there wasn't really enough being done for people who had contracted the disease and their families and their relatives that we set up the James Well Fund for Kidney Cancer, which is run by a very good guy called Nick Turkentine, who runs the charity. And we hopefully help people who suddenly are diagnosed with kidney cancer. We give them information. We have a helpline. We have a training scheme online for nurses. And, of course, we have to raise funds to keep this all going. And if anybody's interested, go to my charity website, jameswellfund.org. And at the moment, we are next week, a week after next, we've got a charity auction where people have coloured in
The whales. Yes, I've seen that.
And so I could do with a bit more money coming in there. Charlotte Hawkins, who's one of the Sky News TV presenters, so far has got a bid of 295 quid on her whale. David Cameron, on the other hand, the Prime Minister of this country, love him or hate him, has got a bid of nothing. Ooh. Now, I only throw this in because I would expect that will go for quite a lot.
Is it because the starting bid's too high? Is it not £50 starting bid?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to let it go for 50 quid. I'd buy it myself for 50 quid. Listen, 10 years in the future, or 20 years in the future, or whatever it is, people look back and suddenly say, I've got a sketch done by the Prime Minister. Supposing you had one by Gladstone or somebody like that.
Are you looking for other celebs to contribute a sketch of the whale?
I think we've got quite a few on there. Melanie C., Catherine Tate. There's quite a few. Go and have a look on the website.
I'm going to check it out later.
I think Shane Ritchie has done one. I think my friend Cosmo from Game of Thrones has done one. Mine, by the way, is the best. But
of course. Yours is the most colourful.
It is, isn't it?
Some of the others,
But you've got
David
an
Cameron
advantage.
is a bit, he's drawn a funny face on the whale. But,
you've got an advantage. You are actually a whale.
Well, yeah, see, there we are.
You've got a bit of an edge over everyone else.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing Debbie McGee soon. Do you want a whale drawn by the Debbie McGee?
Yeah, ask Debbie, and I haven't seen Debbie and her old man for a while. When you say you're going to see her,
we're going
to make the effort with her, because she is the lovely Debbie McGee.
You didn't bloody bother to do that with me, did you?
You should have seen the faff and the hassle we had to go through just to get this working.
Listen, just getting the phone set up to the mixing desk was a nightmare. In fact, I'm amazed it even works.
For you to travel all the way to her house, is it?
If you said that you would, if you invited us down there, we would come and see you.
It's just that we've already met them before, I think.
Yeah, no, don't you're digging yourself in deeper. I don't.
Well,
Go on, ask another. Okay, fine, good, please do. The auction, though, is next week in London at the Dover Street Art Gallery. Ask me who's doing the auction.
Who is doing the auction?
Jeffrey Archer.
Jeffrey Archer?
Wow.
He's done a whale as well.
Yeah, he's Jeffrey Archer. You might ask, why? Well, as far as fundraising is concerned, Jeffrey Archer is the past master. Every big charity event that does an auction for charity tries to get Jeffrey Archer to come and do it. He just extracts money from people who don't even want to give it.
Good. Well, that's the man you want to
join. We should get him up here and help us out.
So when you've got your show up and running, are we going to be on as guests?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you want to be on, fine. We'll give you your own regular spot.
We could do a technology section for you. Talk about new bits that are coming out in the technology world and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we could even do it just live from your bedroom or something.
Yeah, well, we've got a studio here that we could do it from, and we could help people with technical problems. People could email in or text or whatever and say, "How do you do this, that, and the other?" We could tell.
All right. Well, if I was a commissioning editor of a TV company, a big TV company now, I would say to you, right, fine, we'll do that. But you'll need a sponsor for that part of the program.
Okay.
We'll get a sponsor easily.
Don't worry about it.
Right.
We know loads of people.
Good. Well, carry on. Let's do it. We can only bring this to the table if we can get the finances to do it.
So what's a typical James Whale day then?
Today, I'm about to go into the local town here and pick up a pair of glasses that I have had because my wife reminded me a few weeks ago I haven't had my eyes tested for 10 years, and I probably need a new prescription.
10 years is a long time.
Now, do you go to a big national store, like a Specsavers type place?
I should have gone to Specsavers. You're absolutely right.
Or do you go to a little local guy?
No, there is no little local guy, so I'm going to the big one in the town.
Okay.
But your glasses are quite designer and expensive, though, aren't they?
No, the pair I wear most of the time at the moment I got really cheap from TK Maxx.
Wow. He's definitely a Yorkshireman.
Nothing wrong with TK Maxx?
No, my favourite shop, mate. Listen, when I've got a few bob, that's where you'll find me.
Wow.
You can get a bargain in TK Maxx.
A few months ago, I asked you to come up and clear some rubbish for me when you had your white van. You were doing your white man bit.
Yeah.
Are you still up for that?
He probably doesn't remember that.
No?
Yeah, I did, until I realised how expensive it was and what a long way North Wales is from here.
Right, you see. When Rob, when he speaks to people on Twitter, he thinks that he's the only person they're talking to.
I'm the important one.
Well, listen, I've got a job anyway next week. I'm doing the audio version of a book which is called The Butterfly Boy, which is a really, really good. I mean, it's been written by a chap who's done quite a few books, whose name's just gone out of my head, actually. And everybody can go and download the audio version of it, because I only get paid by how many people buy.
You're going to have lots of adverts on this new show then, are you, for sponsors?
Well, I'm going to have to do something to earn a living. Mrs. W said if I don't start working again properly soon, we're not going to eat next week. So I've got to
I'm
do
sure
something.
things aren't that bad. I mean, if you're stuck for food, we can always come down with a KFC or something.
We could send you a
You
care
just want
package.
to come down, don't you? You want to come down. That's
Well,
the thing.
I want to meet the whale.
Yeah, the thing is, Rob doesn't mind, you see, because I do all the driving. So Rob just tells people, "Yeah, we'll come and see you," and then
Okay, well, listen,
it's my
here's-
car.
Here we are. On Thursday, the 6th of June, week after next, at the Dover Street Art Gallery in London, that's where we're having the auction for the whales, and that's where I will be.
Right.
There you go, Rob.
It's not
So,
your,
Get on the train line.
it's not quite your house and a cup of tea, though, is it?
Oh, you see, he's
Well,
he's
you know,
too
I've got a
pushy.
lot
I
of
keep
dogs
telling him.
here, and quite frankly, they'd frighten the life out of you.
Now, this Butterfly Boy, was it
His name is Tony, and I can't remember what his surname is, who's written it. It's a novel. It'd make a great movie.
Tony Klinger?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, got it. This is I've got this really good website called Google that I use,
You have, haven't you?
and
Yeah,
it's brilliant for finding stuff out.
Yes.
There he is, Tony Klinger. There's an
Yeah.
interview with him on there.
Yeah. He's quite a well-known film producer as well, but he's written a couple of novels. And this is all about a boy and the problems, a Jewish boy, that he has during the Second World War. And when I first read through it, and I realised there are sex scenes in it, I said, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, just read them straight. Just do it." I said, "Well, blimey." As he looked at her and held her closer, he could feel his body, his whole body, beginning to tremble. Her skin was so soft. Her skin was like beautiful velvet.
I'm going to the bathroom.
I'm amazed. You've missed your calling there. I
He does
think. You should have
voiceovers.
been an actor.
Listen, I can do voiceovers. You need any voiceovers? I'm really cheap at the moment.
What happens when you got through this new TV project and
Yeah.
somebody picks up the phone and says, "Do you want to go on real TV or would you like to go back on radio?" Would you do that or would you do both? or-
Well, no, I'm gonna. If I want to make I want to make it work out online, and that's where a lot of people are going to get their media from. I want to. I have to go back to radio because radio is what I do. And I'm obviously I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing at the moment. I mean, I'm talking to various people about various things, but the only thing I'll tell you is I think I'm filling in for Tony Blackburn on one of his radio shows in a couple of weeks. But I would love to try and get away, like they do in America, maybe once a week, nighttime show, 10 o'clock until midnight or whatever, James Wales weekly radio show, where I can get people to phone in, they can Skype in, they can whatever.
Yeah.
And it's finding a way of financing it.
You see, you're the guy that always boosts figures. You are that man.
The fact that
We don't really understand why you're not even on the radio anymore, because you're so good. It's
Well,
like the
I'm-
radio stations must be...
I'm not on the radio because I came to the end of my contract a couple of months ago, and the radio station I was then working for didn't want to renew it because they wanted to become more like Radio 4.
Yeah.
Well, it'll really upset them when I start a show on Radio 4, won't it?
Would you do that? Go on, Radio 4?
Listen, I'm open to any kind of offer. So I think the way forward is probably syndication of a show like I used to do before. But I would like to try and see if we can't get an online radio program going properly, where people are going to be listening. I did it before, but it was a sort of early evening show.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it wasn't quite what I wanted to do. But it must be a way of doing it. Listen, if I get the right offer from the right radio station, I will be delighted to go back and do it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Again, depends on the offer. I'm not sure if I want to do 5 days a week again. I really enjoyed doing the drive time show. I gave that radio station the highest ratings that program had ever had. And it was the radio station in London that I always wanted to work on. I did 5 years on it.
Crazy.
Before that, I did 13 years on Talk. So, you know.
What if one of the sort of lesser viewed TV stations, I don't know, it's going to sound like I'm picking on one now, but let's say if I was to say Watch TV or one of the stations like that came along and said, listen, how about doing an hour-long TV show once a week, Friday night? Is that the sort of thing you'd be interested in doing?
I would be interested in I did a series a few years ago on Men and Motors.
Yes, I saw that.
Called The Blue Whale. Well, that was quite fun.
That was definitely blue.
It wasn't that blue, come on.
It is for me.
Well, yeah.
I've led a sheltered life.
Remember, he's a
Was that the
child
one
at
we had
heart.
the blow up? We didn't have the blow up sheep on that, did we? No, that was the one that was in London, produced by Mike Mansfield for LWT.
Yep.
I had a blow up sheep on the desk. Yeah.
Yep.
Then loads of other people copied that afterwards. I was interested to see.
I think a lot of people have copied your style over the years.
Now, this was only going to be 5 minutes, was it? So are you going to edit this all down? Or
We'll
not?
let it all down. We'll try and make you sound good.
Oh, cheers, thanks for that. Do you want to? Because Mrs. W is looking at me through the window.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up now, I think.
Yes.
You might want to sort of ask any more questions, anything else, you know?
Was there anything else?
Know where to send the fee to, anything like
Yeah,
that?
well, where can we send the fee to? Give us your address.
Yeah, I'll get Mrs. W to send you an invoice.
Thank you very much. And
Is he being serious?
I hope so.
I wanted to ask you one more thing. Can I ask one more thing?
One more thing.
Okay. It's about sponsors.
Yeah.
When you are trying to get sponsors on board, do you let your own personal feelings and views affect who you have as a sponsor? Or do you just take money from whoever will give it?
No, there are, obviously you have to... I don't think I'd want any sponsorship from any religion for a start.
Okay.
No religion except my own that I may set up.
I can't imagine the church sponsoring the James Whale show, though. Can you?
But well, give me a for instance. Who would you think?
Well,
I
if there was a product that you thought genuinely wasn't a good product, and it was a product that you'd used it and you just thought this is terrible,
Yeah.
and the manufacturer of that product or the company selling it came and said we want to sponsor the show, and in your heart of hearts you knew that the stuff they were selling was just terrible. An example: Talk Internet. They're terrible. If they came to you and said, we'll sponsor your show, and you'd been a customer of them and you knew how bad they were, would you say no, or would you just think, look, I need a sponsor?
I don't know the first thing about Talk Internet, and they could be the best thing since sliced bread, and you might just have a bit of an axe.
Yeah, but
to
that's
grind.
just an example. You know what I mean, though, right?
Well, if I had a bad experience with a company and they wanted to advertise with something I was doing, I think I would have to have a conversation and find out whether other people had the same experience. But I would hope, and you never, because you think a company is bad, other people may not. All right?
Yeah.
But I hope that I would be prepared to say, oh, I don't agree with the ethics of this company or that company or whatever. But who knows? In the real world, sometimes you're not in a position to make those judgments. Sometimes, if you don't sort of say, and we're talking about legitimate companies, aren't we? I mean, we're not talking about
Money laundering, that sort of thing.
You know, we're not talking about that.
No.
I mean,
No.
sometimes people can have very high ideals, but the alternative is where you can say, well, I won't take money from those people, then you're not on the air or you have no program. So, you know,
Beggars can't be choosers.
How does that solve any problems? But I have never been faced with that dilemma, but I hope I'd do what is right if I was.
Could I just say thank you very much for chatting to us today?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. I look forward to it, guys, and look forward to your fascinating and entertaining podcast in the near future. All right, guys. See you
It's been
later.
a pleasure.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
You don't have to be posh to listen to the Dead Air podcast. You don't need 4 years, no claims either.
That was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a guy.
I think you were a bit
Starstruck.
shy. Yeah, starstruck. That's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Well, I've sort of known him all my life, but never met him.
Yeah. Well, it was really good of him to talk to us, and we really appreciate it. Who have we got coming up next?
In a few weeks, hopefully, we'll have the lovely Debbie McGee.
Debbie McGee, that's it. We can't really say too much about other people because we have to wait until we've got confirmation. Definitely doing Debbie McGee.
We are definitely doing Debbie McGee. This week, I went to see the animated film of the year, the blockbuster Epic.
Okay, what was it called?
Epic.
The film was called Epic.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were describing... I thought you were saying, I went to see the blockbuster Epic, and then you were going to say the name of a film.
Well, if I was going to use a word to describe this film, I wouldn't have called it Epic.
Or what would you call it?
Blurred.
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 Not good. Why was it blurred?
I don't know. I mean, the
Was
bad...
it in 3D or 2D?
It was in 3D, and it's supposed to be all designed for 3D.
I think I... So hang on, let me... You know when you watch a film at the cinema, sometimes at the beginning you can see them focusing the thing.
Yeah.
When it's on the 18 certificate or 12 or whatever
Yeah.
the thing is, and it says, you know, you can see it getting blurred and out of focus while
Yeah.
the guy does it. Was this film like that then, but it was in 3D?
You could see them adjusting something,
Okay.
which you didn't think of anything at the time.
Yeah.
And then we sat through the film, and you sort of sat there looking at it going, well, everything in the middle of the screen sort of looks all right. And I use sort of and very loosely. Everything on the outside was all blurred. There was no detail in the background, and you sat there thinking, this is supposed to be the best 3D. And then...
Were you wearing the glasses?
I was wearing the glasses, yeah.
Because the way you're describing it, it made me wonder if you had them on.
Well, I thought it was me. I thought I was tired, you know,
Yeah.
or I wasn't wearing the glasses right. They might have been upside down or back to front. I don't
Okay,
know,
yeah.
you know. I thought it was just me. And I thought, there's nothing 3D in it. In fact, the 3D was almost ghosty. You could actually see the two images overlapping each other at some
Oh,
point.
that's not good.
And at the end of the film, I said to my wife, I said, what do you think of that? And she said, it was all blurred. And I went, oh, it's not just me then. So I complained.
You should have complained.
I did, I
right at the
complained.
beginning when the film started.
Well, I wasn't going to get up halfway through the film and ruin the film, although the film wasn't that great. So I complained. I said
Does
it in
that
an
mean
email.
we're not reviewing the film because it was
I'm going to
blurred?
review the film. I'll do it in a semi sort of fair way.
Try and take into account the fact that it wasn't the film's fault.
I'll review it as a 2D film,
Okay.
even though it was still blurred for 2D, obviously. The film wasn't that great. The storyline was pretty lame. I'd give it about 2.5 stars. Maybe I would have given it 3.5 stars if the 3D would have been as stunning as what they said it was.
So it's not really very epic then.
No. But the tip is, complain. I complained and I got 3 VIP tickets to go and see any film I like.
That's fair enough.
So, to be fair, Cineworld, thank you.
You're listening to Nick and Rob. I'm not Morgan Freeman, but this is Dead Air Podcast.
So I read that Mr. Man book,
Which Mr. Man book?
Mr. Nobody,
Okay. What's it about?
about a character called Mr. Nobody.
Well, I never would have guessed that. I was hoping you could, expand a bit.
It was a good book.
Is that it? Is this the Rob book review of the week?
It was one of them books that once you've picked it up, you can't put it down.
Yeah, but it's only got about 20 pages.
Yeah.
How long did it take to read it?
About half an hour.
Well, some of the words are big.
They were for me. It was a
Good
good story.
drawings?
Drawings were great. There was a worm in it. There's always a worm in the Mr.
Always a
Men book.
worm. Was there any other Mr. Men in it?
Mr. Happy was in it.
Oh, I love Mr. Happy.
And the Wizard.
The Wizard, yeah. Oh, good that you
Basically,
made-
the story is Mr. Nobody is a nobody. Nobody knows about him because he's invisible.
Oh.
And they try and work out a way of making him visible so he can become happy again.
Wrapping him in bandages, maybe?
No, but because he's invisible, they give him a drink.
Oh, okay. Well,
a
don't
dr-
spoil the ending.
Oh, have I just ruined it for all the kids out there?
Wow, we'll try and make sure that no kids listen to the podcast.
So anyway, that was the Mr. Nobody, book number 47 of the Mr. Man series. There are
47?
other new ones. 47, yeah, your favourite number. Mm-hmm. So maybe in another 30 years I shall get round to reading another book.
Okay. Now, can you lend that book to me now, or should I buy my own copy?
I need to ask my daughter first.
Because
It's not mine to lend.
if it was a game, I'd have to buy my own, wouldn't I?
You would.
But with a book, it's a bit different. See, why shouldn't the guy that wrote Mr. Men get another £3.50 or whatever it is from me.
He should.
So no one should be able to lend books anymore either.
No, unless you go to a library. So we're running out of time.
We are indeed. We're going to have to wrap it up.
So don't forget to download our app if you haven't already done so from the Android Play Store or the iTunes Store. Just search for Dead Air, you'll find us there.
Yeah, we've also got a website, which is deadairwebsite.com.
And we're on Twitter, which is @DeadAirPodcast.
And you can like us on Facebook.
We are on Facebook too.
They should introduce a love button on Facebook so people can love us.
That's going a bit too far.
No. I want a love button.
You want a love button?
I want a like and a love button.
You want a love button.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye!
You are listening to the Dead Air Podcast. For more information, go to www.deadairwebsite.com.
Would you like to hear a really long joke?
A really long joke?
Yeah. Joke.